the freedom that the digital world or digital transformation gives employees is something that's going to be sought after. So if you want to go to Tahiti and log in from the island for a week, that's a big benefit that really doesn't cost the company anything directly. So I think initially it was cost savings and efficiency, and now it may turn into a bit of a cultural necessity to have split shifts between office and work from home or work from anywhere. I think that's where the industry is going to go.
All right. Hey, everybody. And my name is Sean Achapong, and welcome to another episode of As Is To Be. I'd like to introduce also our co-host, Carl. Hey, Carl.
Hey, Sean. How you been? How's everything on your end?
Doing good, brother. Everything's real good over here, man.
Awesome.
Totally enjoying the snow and everything, but all is well otherwise. So thank you.
Good to hear.
And we have a very special guest in today's session. Our guest today is Jordan Uytterhagen. He's the Managing Director of Cadence Solutions. Cadence implements Microsoft, OpenText, and SAP digital transformation projects. Welcome, Jordan.
Thanks, guys. Happy to be here.
Jordan, good to have you on board, man. I'm quite excited to have this conversation with you. Interesting background. I'm kind of curious. You can tell me, some history behind that, and your upbringing and how you got to where you are in your journey.
Yeah, so I started in IT post .com bubble, so let's say early 2000s. On the development side, I realized I wasn't overly enthusiastic about just being a coder and not really seeing as many people as I wanted to be. So I transitioned into a business analyst, project management position over the next couple of years and did implementations specifically for contract management and then later content management, which I think will be the topic of today's discussion. So I got a couple stories we'll touch on later on how I actually started Cadence and why that was important for me to start more so than just prosperity. So that's kind of how I got started in the industry. Ran into Mr. Achapong there along the way, and here we are today.
Yeah, as we go back. So yeah, it's been a fun working with Jordan these years. One of the things I like about Cadence Solutions is the message that you provide to the world. It's a digital world. Are you part of it? I think that's fantastic, and I know that clients definitely and organizations really feel that it's time to change in one capacity or another. So Jordan, please tell us more. Like, what motivated you to create Cadence Solutions?
Yeah, so kind of with my background, I had a lot of implementation experience on the solution design, BA side, project management side, and with some different products. Worked my way into content management, kind of specialty over time, and ended up working at a municipality local to my jurisdiction I'm in, outside of Edmonton, Alberta, Canada. The implementation was to implement OpenText. The organization I worked in the IT department. The mandate from the legal department was records management, governance, the typical, we must take care and secure of our information. Participated on the IT side for about 10 months, and it was a complete disaster. We got $400K to spend. We're approaching $300K in the hole, and we don't have anything. So coming out of that, I worked at the legal department because they were basically the sponsor of this, and IT was the delivery arm, and we fired the vendor. So in a municipality, I know, Sean, you worked in some municipalities, it is extremely hard to terminate a contract of any magnitude. So we managed to terminate the contract, do the project internally, and got it all the way out the door.
Wow, that's really interesting, Jordan. I'm curious to know now, you did several bids, I guess within that time, and I'm curious, since pre-COVID and current scenario and maybe post-COVID, what's the differences are you seeing in the clients that you're connecting with, and how has that impact your business?
Yeah, I'll kind of start maybe in the sales cycle. So my role at Cadence it used to be delivery, and now it's in more sales and solution consulting. So demos, walking through the pain points with prospects, Why'd you pick up the phone? Why'd you email us? What's going on? What's the pain that we're here to solve? And what really changed with COVID is I used to travel about 100 days a year, flying out all over North America, doing demonstrations and discovery sessions and kind of prepping for the project in a scoping capacity. All that went away, no air travel. But the ability to hold those sessions remotely and the acceptance from prospects to divulge that information or even participate in a demo simply with the video on, seeing faces, reading body language as you're going through, opened completely up, mid 2020 when things semi-settled down on the pandemic side of things and business started to resume. So that's the biggest change I saw on the sales and prospecting side, was the appetite to say, yeah, we'll take a remote demo. Because in the past, I'd say I got to fly to Pittsburgh. Well, I'm in mountain time, so flying to Pittsburgh's a day, do a demo for a day. You can't get a flight out at night. You're burning 3 days to do a 6-hour presentation. It's a long haul. So their acceptance for participating in the sales cycle and purchasing a service provider as well as a product remotely. Like, we've landed a number of projects throughout 2020. I haven't even shaken people's hands. And It's really odd to say that. Like, I'm a traditional business guy. Let's grab a beverage or a coffee, shake a hand, build some trust that way. And now it's all done virtually. So the prospecting sales side completely changed. And it gave a lot more capacity to us as well to participate in more opportunities.
Yeah, definitely a lot more forgiving, having those kind of, utilizing video and having those kind of communications up front, as opposed to, you always need a wet ink signature and a handshake, like you said. Yeah. Exactly. So that was one component you're saying. What was the other you're alluding to?
The other is so post sales, even the ability to host workshops, discovery workshops over Teams or Zoom, where people, really they learned how to use portions of technology in 2020 and in the COVID era here. They know how to turn a video camera on. They know how to mute. The guy this week knows how to turn himself into a cat on Zoom filters. So there's a whole different technology acceptance by different age ranges too.
So you're not a cat, right, Jordan?
I'm not. I don't even know how to turn that on, actually. That'd be pretty funny. That was the change, kind of, if we're progressing through the opportunity into delivery. Another one is, once those workshop sessions are complete, is just the ability to go through and provide that soft touch to our clients through video. So we do different strategies and workshops, a lot more agile approach, just because you can't be on site, and with them, a lot more documentation, I'd say, has come out of this, where you really don't have that ability to whiteboard anymore. And in IT, whiteboard's a big thing. Like, one of our clients, they had boardrooms where every wall was a whiteboard. They painted the entire room whiteboards, and we'd show up and we'd all scribble along each whiteboard and come to some conclusion and take a picture, and bang, that would go in the spec doc. Well, now it's not quite as easy. So maybe a bit of a downside there. Training's been impacted as well. The ability for remote training and the acceptance of training remotely pre-COVID just wasn't there. Nobody wanted to do that. They would rather pay us to fly down. Like, we had a client in California, we'd fly down and do 10 days of training in person. It's expensive. Getting out of Edmonton in winter for California is a win. So nobody complains from our side, but the client does shell out quite a few dollars for hotel and travel expenses for something that can be accomplished almost as effectively through a remote session. And I think that kind of pairs with what I mentioned earlier. If the camera's on, you can read that body language. Even when you're training, you can see, is so-and-so paying attention? Are they grabbing this thing and doing emails? Is their head down? They're not likely to be taking notes. So I think that really changed a lot, and we won't go back to the old way, at least in a full capacity sense.
I couldn't agree more. There's definitely been a lot of new norms that have set in, and you're really bringing a spotlight in a real world sense of just doing training remotely, or the appetite for training remotely versus in person. So yeah, well said. Bit of a change of topic here. So one thing I'm not sure our audience knows about both myself and Jordan, we're cryptocurrency and blockchain enthusiasts. So I thought to pick Jordan's brain to share some of our insights, share some insights with the broader community. So Jordan, tell us, like, what do you believe cryptocurrency and more broadly the blockchain have in shaping the future?
Yeah, I don't know if I'm up to speed as you, Sean, on it, but with cryptocurrency, I think this week was very interesting with Tesla buying, I think it was $1.5 billion of Bitcoin, and then instantly getting a 30% return on that in the same week, which was just an absolute shrewd business move from a value proposition side of things. Why go issue more shares when you can make 30% on your own cash in a week? In terms of the blockchain, I am very impressed with the ability to transact money between two individuals. So I was showing my parents this, and they're retired and not really into technology as much as their children, of course, and how easy it is to send money from one cell phone to another cell phone. So the technology side of it, regardless of the currency side of it, really interests me. And I think that's something that banks will probably end up adopting, where I can open my phone, have a QR code on it. If Sean's sitting beside me, can simply take a picture of that QR code, say he wants to send me, 3 Ethereum or 0.5 of a Bitcoin, and that will, end up in my account and my device within minutes. The fact you can't do that in the business world right now is beyond frustrating. So we recently sold our house. It was the same old, sell the house, the turnover day comes. Well, what happens? The buyer's lawyer gets a check from the bank, or they gets money from the bank. They cut a check to the seller's lawyer, my lawyer. The seller's lawyer walks that check into the bank. The bank, for us, conveniently didn't deposit that check on time. So we had no house, we had no money, and nobody knew where it was at the time. So the old school way of just doing some of those things is going to have to change, because the appetite for information at your fingertips is hotter than ever. And that was a way that I think that the blockchain and the technology behind it, just the simplicity of some of it, could be adapted into the more business world. Maybe not necessarily all the currencies, but the technology and the intent behind it.
So Jordan, I'm really fond of this moniker, this phrase that you have. It's a digital world. Are you part of it? And I'm curious to know, what are some of you think the business drivers that other organizations need to consider if they're transitioning into this digital world that you're referring to?
Yeah, so that we coined that a couple of years back, of course, before everything was kind of forced digital in 2020. The drivers for it, I think initially were all cost driven, right? It was, you go digital, you save money, you turn off the old system that maybe half digital, you save money, you save head count. You go from paper scanning forms to the scanning with the automated capture of the fields on the forms, and put that in the system and run workflows and such. So that was kind of the initial intent behind it. I think now the driver behind it has completely changed to who is your next employee going to be? So we've been on a hiring spree here, and it's quite funny. So I got some gray hair, as you could probably see in the camera there, but
nothing compared to my beard, my friend. Nothing compared to my beard.
I'll work on it. So, but the new hires we have, they're all born in the late 90s. They're not even millennials. They're zennials. So those kinds of beliefs and values that come out of that generation are much different than the 9-to-5, drive your car to work generation. The freedom that the digital world or digital transformation gives employees is something that's going to be sought after. I know recently this week, I think it was even today, Spotify said they're going to allow their staff to work from anywhere, not just from home. They can go work from anywhere. So if you want to go to Tahiti and log in from the island for a week and avoid frozen Edmonton because you can work from Tahiti, that's a big benefit that really doesn't cost the company anything directly. It's a perk that comes with the brand and the organization. So I think initially it was cost savings and efficiency, and now it may turn into a bit of a cultural necessity to have split shifts between office and work from home or work from anywhere. I think that's where the industry is going to go.
That's a great distinguisher. So you're saying that some of these cultural digital drivers is going to actually help promote when it comes to hiring and resources.
That's 100% what I believe. So when my company had to shut down mid-March 2020 for the pandemic, we were all digital, as we need to be, because that's what we preach. It was 10 minutes to shut down the office. Everybody grab your laptops. If you'd like a large monitor, grab one off your desk, take your dock, head home, and we'll see when we're going to be back in the office. Everybody had VPN, everybody had Teams, everybody has access to an open text repository for content, video calling. Like, we've been on Teams since the Skype for Business to Teams transition. So it was an instant pivot and resumption of operations. We made the call on a Friday at 2:00 and went home, and everybody was online that afternoon. So that ability to pivot your workforce in the next wave of a pandemic, if you open and then you close again, that ability to offer your workforce and your employees I'm in Edmonton, a lot of people go to Phoenix or Florida in a normal year for sunbirding and winters. The ability to work from another location, not have to maybe give out as many vacation weeks and days because people do want to spend their time differently, is a big perk to everybody. And I don't think that's going to go away at all now. I think that's here to stay. And you're going to see that as a standard interview question that comes from the candidate that is in front of you.
Well said, Jordan. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. It is definitely a digital world, or becoming a digital world, and definitely Jordan and Cadence Solutions is part of it. More so leading it. You guys are leading the charge, and it's fantastic to see all the implementations and the successes you bring to other organizations. So thank you, Jordan, for your time today.
Thanks for having me, guys.
Yeah. Now, how can people reach out to you or get connected or learn more about Cadence Solutions?
Yeah, so you can visit our website, which is cadencesolutions.ca. You can follow us on LinkedIn as well. So we're all over LinkedIn, and those are really the two platforms that we focus on. So personally, my LinkedIn is ECM Jordan. You can find that there, and we post all kinds of success stories, pain points from customers, and look for some speaking engagements for myself as well in the future at some conferences.
Fantastic. All right, cool. Jordan, thank you again. And thank you to our audience for tuning into another session. Carl, it's been a peach as always. Thank you.
Thanks, man. Thanks. Good to be here.
All right. And definitely, stay connected for more insights on As Is To Be. Peace.
Peace.